The coffee pot shatters against the checkered tile floor in exactly 47 minutes. Kennedy James doesn't know that yet. Right now, at 4:30 a.m., she's just trying to make it through another day without breaking down. Her alarm screams in the darkness of the apartment she shares with her mother. Kennedy's hand shoots out, silencing it before the second beep. The routine is automatic now. Feet on cold floor, stumble to bathroom, splash water on face that's too young to look this tired. In the kitchen, her mother is already awake. Angela James sits at their small table, surrounded by medical bills that have become permanent fixtures. Stage 4 breast cancer doesn't come with a payment plan, but the invoices keep arriving anyway. "Morning, baby." Her mother's voice is weak but warm. Chemotherapy has stolen her strength but not her spirit. "Morning, Mama." Kennedy pours coffee into a cheap thermos. "Did you sleep?" "Some." The lie is gentle. They both know the pain keeps her up most nights. Kennedy wants to stay. Wants to hold her mother's hand and pretend that 17-year-old shouldn't have to choose between school and survival. But the early shift at Miller's Diner starts at 5 a.m., and the 40-minute walk takes her through streets that aren't safe in darkness. "I love you," Kennedy says, kissing her mother's forehead. "I love you more. Be safe." The walk to Miller's Diner is familiar now. 8 months of the same route, the same pre-dawn cold, the same exhaustion that lives in her bones. Kennedy pulls her jacket tighter and walks faster. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and subscribe. This story will restore your faith in humanity. Miller's Diner has been a Riverside, Tennessee fixture for 40 years. Red vinyl booths, chrome-trimmed counter stools, checkered floors that have absorbed the footsteps of a million customers. The kind of place that serves breakfast all day and knows every regular's order by heart. Kennedy unlocks the side door with the key Tom Miller gave her after her first month. "Reliable employees get keys," he'd said gruffly, not meeting her eyes. "Don't lose it." She hasn't. Hasn't been late once in 8 months. Not when the bus broke down. Not when her mother had a crisis at 3 a.m. Not when she fell asleep standing up in the walk-in freezer during her break. Inside, the diner smells like coffee and possibility. Kennedy flips on lights, starts prep work with the efficiency of someone who's done this hundreds of times. Coffee brewing. Tables wiped. Syrup bottles filled. Salt shakers checked. Tom Miller arrives at 4:55 a.m., exactly 5 minutes before opening. He's 62 years old, gruff as sandpaper, with a heart he hides behind grumbling and short answers. He hired Kennedy when she walked in 8 months ago, desperate, trying not to cry while asking for a job. "You ever waitress before?" he'd asked. "No, sir. But I'm a fast learner. And I need this. My mother." "You start Monday. 5 a.m. Don't be late." Now he just nods at her from the kitchen. "Coffee hot?" "Yes, sir." "Good." That's their morning routine. Few words, much respect. Tom doesn't ask about her mother anymore, he knows it's bad. Doesn't ask about school, he knows she's missing too much. Just gives her shifts, pays her fairly, and watches from the kitchen with something that looks like approval. The morning regulars start arriving at 5:30. Mr. Patterson, 78 years old, same booth every day. "Morning, Kennedy. How's your mama?" "Hanging in there, Mr. Patterson." "The usual?" "You know me too well." He always leaves an extra $5. "Buy something pretty," he says, even though they both know it goes toward medical bills. Mrs. Chen arrives at 6 o'clock, bringing her daughter's old textbooks. "Pre-calculus," she says, sliding them across the counter. You said you needed these for your GED prep. Kennedy's throat tightens. She dropped out of high school 3 months ago when her mother's condition worsened. The choice between senior year and survival wasn't really a choice at all. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. Really? You're a good girl, Kennedy. Don't let anyone tell you different. The diner fills with familiar faces. People who know her name, ask about her mother, tip generously because they understand struggle. This is community. This is why Kennedy can endure the exhaustion, the dropped dreams, the future that keeps getting postponed. Tom calls from the kitchen. Order up. Kennedy delivers breakfast with a smile that's only half forced. This job is everything: rent, food, medicine, hope. Without it, her mother dies. With it, they survive another day. The bell above the door chimes at 6:15 a.m. Kennedy looks up from refilling coffee pots and sees him, expensive suit, designer watch, face that already looks annoyed before anyone's done anything wrong. He surveys the diner like it's beneath him, like the people eating here are beneath him. She's seen this type before. Entitled. Impatient. The kind who treats service workers like furniture. But she doesn't know that this man is about to throw coffee at her feet. Doesn't know Tom Miller is about to bow to her in front of everyone. Doesn't know that in 47 minutes, her entire life is about to change. Right now, she just picks up her notepad and walks toward booth 7. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Miller's Diner. Can I start you with some coffee? The man doesn't look up from his phone. Coffee. Black. And make it fast. I don't have all day. Kennedy's smile doesn't falter. Coming right up. In the kitchen, Tom watches through the service window. His jaw tightens. He's seen this before too. And he already knows how it ends. Not well. The coffee pot shatters against the checkered tile floor in exactly 47 minutes. Kennedy James doesn't know that yet. Right now, at 4:30 a.m., she's just trying to make it through another day without breaking down. Her alarm screams in the darkness of the apartment she shares with her mother. Kennedy's hand shoots out, silencing it before the second beep. The routine is automatic now: feet on cold floor, stumble to bathroom, splash water on face that's too young to look this tired. In the kitchen, her mother is already awake. Angela James sits at their small table, surrounded by medical bills that have become permanent fixtures. Stage 4 breast cancer doesn't come with a payment plan, but the invoices keep arriving anyway. Morning, baby. Her mother's voice is weak but warm. Chemotherapy has stolen her strength but not her spirit. Morning, Mama. Kennedy pours coffee into a cheap thermos. Did you sleep? Some. The lie is gentle. They both know the pain keeps her up most nights. Kennedy wants to stay. Wants to hold her mother's hand and pretend that 17-year-old shouldn't have to choose between school and survival. But the early shift at Miller's Diner starts at 5 a.m., and the 40-minute walk takes her through streets that aren't safe in darkness. I love you, Kennedy says, kissing her mother's forehead. I love you more. Be safe. The walk to Miller's Diner is familiar now. 8 months of the same route, the same pre-dawn cold, the same exhaustion that lives in her bones. Kennedy pulls her jacket tighter and walks faster. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and subscribe. This story will restore your faith in humanity. Miller's Diner has been a Riverside, Tennessee fixture for 40 years. Red vinyl booths, chrome-trimmed counter stools, checkered floors that have absorbed the footsteps of a million customers. The kind of place that serves breakfast all day and knows every regular's order by heart. Kennedy unlocks the side door with the key Tom Miller gave her after her first month. Reliable employees get keys, he'd said gruffly, not meeting her eyes. Don't lose it. She hasn't. Hasn't been late once in 8 months. Not when the bus broke down. Not when her mother had a crisis at 3 a.m. Not when she fell asleep standing up in the walk-in freezer during her break. Inside, the diner smells like coffee and possibility. Kennedy flips on lights, starts prep work with the efficiency of someone who's done this hundreds of times. Coffee brewing. Tables wiped. Syrup bottles filled. Salt shakers checked. Tom Miller arrives at 4:55 a.m., exactly 5 minutes before opening. He's 62 years old, gruff as sandpaper, with a heart he hides behind grumbling and short answers. He hired Kennedy when she walked in 8 months ago, desperate, trying not to cry while asking for a job. "You ever waitress before?" he'd asked. "No, sir. But I'm a fast learner. And I need this. My mother. You start Monday. 5 a.m. Don't be late." Now he just nods at her from the kitchen. "Coffee hot?" "Yes, sir." "Good." That's their morning routine. Few words, much respect. Tom doesn't ask about her mother anymore, he knows it's bad. Doesn't ask about school, he knows she's missing too much. Just gives her shifts, pays her fairly, and watches from the kitchen with something that looks like approval. The morning regulars start arriving at 5:30. Mr. Patterson, 78 years old, same booth every day. "Morning, Kennedy. How's your mama?" "Hanging in there, Mr. Patterson." "The usual?" "You know me too well." He always leaves an extra $5. "Buy something pretty," he says, even though they both know it goes toward medical bills. Mrs. Chen arrives at 6 o'clock, bringing her daughter's old textbooks. "Pre-calculus," she says, sliding them across the counter. "You said you needed these for your GED prep." Kennedy's throat tightens. She dropped out of high school 3 months ago when her mother's condition worsened. The choice between senior year and survival wasn't really a choice at all. "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." "Really? You're a good girl, Kennedy. Don't let anyone tell you different." The diner fills with familiar faces. People who know her name, ask about her mother, tip generously because they understand struggle. This is community. This is why Kennedy can endure the exhaustion, the dropped dreams, the future that keeps getting postponed. Tom calls from the kitchen. "Order up." Kennedy delivers breakfast with a smile that's only half forced. This job is everything: rent, food, medicine, hope. Without it, her mother dies. With it, they survive another day. The bell above the door chimes at 6:15 a.m. Kennedy looks up from refilling coffee pots and sees him, expensive suit, designer watch, face that already looks annoyed before anyone's done anything wrong. He surveys the diner like it's beneath him, like the people eating here are beneath him. She's seen this type before. Entitled. Impatient. The kind who treats service workers like furniture. But she doesn't know that this man is about to throw coffee at her feet. Doesn't know Tom Miller is about to bow to her in front of everyone. Doesn't know that in 47 minutes, her entire life is about to change. Right now, she just picks up her notepad and walks toward booth 7. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Miller's Diner. Can I start you with some coffee?" The man doesn't look up from his phone. "Coffee. Black. And make it fast. I don't have all day." Kennedy's smile doesn't falter. "Coming right up." In the kitchen, Tom watches through the service window. His jaw tightens. He's seen this before too. And he already knows how it ends. Not well. The diner goes quiet. Even the kitchen sounds stop. Kennedy's face burns. Her hands shake. But she keeps her voice steady. I've been waitressing here for 8 months, sir. I'm happy to send someone else if you prefer. 8 months? He laughs. And you still can't get a simple order right? What does that say about you? What he means is clear to everyone listening. What he doesn't say out loud but implies with every word, every look, every dismissive gesture. Kennedy takes a breath. Let me get you a fresh cup of coffee, sir. Finally. Some initiative. She walks away with her head high and her heart hammering. In the kitchen, Tom is gripping the counter so hard his knuckles are white. Kennedy. One more cup. Then he'll leave. It's fine. It's not fine. It has to be. She pours coffee with shaking hands. I can't afford for it not to be. Tom watches her carry the coffee back to booth 7. Watches the man examine it with exaggerated skepticism. Watches Kennedy stand there, professional and patient, while he treats her like dirt on his expensive shoes. And Tom Miller makes a decision. When Kennedy turns to walk away, when the man calls her back with that dismissive snap of his fingers, when he picks up the coffee cup with deliberate malice in his eyes. Tom is already moving. The cup leaves the man's hand. Kennedy sees it happen in slow motion. Ceramic spinning through air. Coffee arcing in a brown wave. The moment before impact when she knows exactly where it's going to land. At her feet. The cup explodes against the checkered floor. Coffee splashes her uniform, her apron, her black sneakers. Shards of ceramic scatter like shrapnel. I said I wanted a real waitress, the man announces to the entire diner. Not some incompetent teenager who can't even get a simple order right. Kennedy stands in the spreading puddle, notepad still in her hand, face blank with the kind of shock that comes from having your worst fears confirmed in public. The diner is silent except for the sizzle of bacon someone forgot to turn off. And Tom Miller walks out of the kitchen with murder in his eyes. The coffee soaks through Kennedy's sneakers, hot enough to burn but not hot enough to make her move. She stands frozen in the puddle, staring at the broken ceramics scattered across the checkered floor like evidence of a crime. Her crime, according to the man in booth 7. The crime of existing while black, while young, while female, while trying to survive in a world that keeps telling her she doesn't belong. Finally, the man says, leaning back in the booth with satisfaction. Maybe now someone competent will take over my table. Kennedy's hands shake around her notepad. 8 months of perfect service. 8 months of early mornings and late nights. 8 months of swallowing her pride and her anger and her exhaustion because her mother needs medicine and rent doesn't pay itself. All of it reduced to this moment. Standing in a puddle of coffee while strangers watch and judge and decide whether she deserved it. Some of them look away. Complicit in their silence. Easier to pretend they didn't see than to get involved. But Mr. Patterson is standing up from his booth, face red with anger. Now wait just a minute. Sir, please. Kennedy's voice is barely a whisper. It's fine. It's not fine, Mrs. Chen says, pulling out her phone. I'm recording this. That was assault. The man laughs. Assault? I dropped a cup. She probably did it herself for attention. You know how these people are. These people. There it is. The quiet part said loud. The racism that's been hovering over this entire interaction finally given voice. Kennedy's face burns with humiliation and rage and shame that she feels shame at all. She wants to disappear. Wants to melt into the floor with the spilled coffee. Wants to be anywhere but here, being humiliated in front of her regular customers who've watched her work herself to exhaustion for 8 months. Tom Miller emerges from the kitchen. He walks slowly, deliberately. Still wearing his apron, spatula in hand, face carved from stone. The man in booth 7 doesn't notice at first. He's too busy enjoying his power, his moment of cruelty, his ability to destroy a teenage girl's dignity for the crime of bringing him coffee. "You there," he calls to another waitress. "I'd like to speak to the manager about." "You're speaking to him," Tom says. His voice is quiet. Controlled. The kind of quiet that means a storm is coming. The man turns, sees Tom, and smiles. Finally. "Someone in charge. I want to file a complaint about this girl. She's incompetent. Argumentative. And she just dropped coffee all over the floor." "She didn't drop it," Tom says. "You threw it at her feet." "That's not, the coffee was cold in. There are 8 witnesses in this diner. Plus security cameras." Tom points to the small camera mounted above the register. "Want me to play back the footage of you assaulting my employee?" The man's face changes. Calculation replacing confidence. "I'm a paying customer." "She was disrespectful." "I have a right to." "You have the right to leave," Tom interrupts. "Right now. Before I call the police." "Are you serious? Over a cup of coffee? Over you throwing that cup at a 17-year-old girl who's done nothing wrong?" Tom's voice rises. "Over you treating her like garbage because you think your money makes you better than her. Over you being a bully and a bigot in my establishment." The diner is silent. Every eye on booth 7. Every breath held. The man stands up, trying to salvage his dignity. "This is ridiculous. I'm a regular at restaurants across this state. I know the owner of." "I don't care who you know," Tom says. "Get out of my diner." "Do you know who I am?" "I don't care about that either. I'm Richard Hartwell, Vice President at Morrison Investment Group. I could buy this dump 10 times over." Tom steps closer. "Then buy your breakfast somewhere else. You're not welcome here." Richard's face reddens. "You can't kick me out. I'm a paying customer. You assaulted my employee. You're trespassing now. Leave, or I'm calling the sheriff." Mr. Patterson stands again. "You heard him. Get out." Mrs. Chen holds up her phone. "And I've got the whole thing on video. Including you throwing that cup." Other customers murmur agreement. The tide has turned. The bully is surrounded. Richard throws 2 20s on the table. "Keep your filthy diner. This place is a dump anyway. The food is mediocre, the service is terrible, and..." Tom picks up the money. Holds it out. "We don't want it." "What?" "Take your money and leave. You don't get to abuse my staff and then pay for the privilege." Richard stares at the offered bills. His face cycles through emotions: shock, rage, humiliation. He's not used to being rejected. Not used to consequences. "You're making a mistake," he says, trying to sound threatening. "I have connections. I'll make sure everyone knows about this place. You'll be ruined." Tom doesn't blink. "Get out." Richard snatches his money and storms toward the door. Before he leaves, he turns back. "This isn't over. And you," he points at Kennedy, still standing in the coffee puddle, "you're going to regret this." The bell chimes his exit. The diner exhales collectively. For a moment, no one moves. Then Tom turns to Kennedy. She expects him to tell her to clean up the mess, to apologize to the other customers, to get back to work because breakfast doesn't serve itself. Instead, he does something she never expected. Tom Miller, 62-year-old diner owner, gruff and tough and not given to grand gestures, bows. Not a small nod. Not a casual dip of his head. A full, deep, formal bow. The kind you see in movies. The kind that means respect. Honor. Apology. To her. To the teenage waitress standing in a puddle of coffee. The entire diner watches in stunned silence as Tom Miller stays bowed for 3 long seconds. When he straightens, his eyes meet Kennedy's, and they're bright with something that looks like pride. "You okay, kid?" Kennedy can't speak. Can barely breathe. She nods. "Good." Tom looks at the other customers. "Show's over, folks. Kennedy, come to my office when you're ready. We need to talk." He walks back to the kitchen, leaving Kennedy standing in the coffee puddle, tears finally starting to fall, while the diner erupts in applause. Mrs. Chen is already posting the video to Facebook with shaking hands. Mr. Patterson is wiping his eyes. Other customers are coming up to Kennedy, asking if she's okay, telling her she didn't deserve that, praising her composure. But Kennedy just stands there, trying to process what just happened. A customer threw coffee at her. The owner kicked him out. Then bowed to her in front of everyone. None of it makes sense. The world isn't supposed to work like this. In her experience, the powerful abuse and the powerless endure. That's how it's always been. But Tom Miller just changed the rules. And Kennedy James has no idea that this is only the beginning. That Mrs. Chen's video will go viral within the hour. That Richard Hartwell's life is about to implode. That in Tom's office, there's a folder with her name on it containing documents that will change everything. Right now, she just knows that someone stood up for her. Someone chose her dignity over a customer's money. Someone saw her as worthy of respect. For the first time in 8 months, Kennedy James allows herself to cry at work. Before we continue, you need to subscribe right now. What happens in the next 60 seconds is the most powerful moment you'll see all week. This isn't just about a diner. It's about dignity, respect, and what it means to stand up for what's right. Hit subscribe. You'll understand why in 1 minute. Kennedy wipes her eyes with her apron, trying to pull herself together. Other waitresses have cleaned up the coffee in broken ceramic. The diner has returned to its normal rhythm, orders being called, coffee being poured, breakfast being served. But nothing feels normal. Kennedy can still feel every eye on her, even though people are trying to be subtle about their glances. Can still hear Richard Hartwell's voice, "I want a real waitress." Mr. Patterson approaches, pressing a $50 bill into her hand. "You take that, honey. And you hold your head high. That man was scum. I can't. You can and you will." His eyes are fierce. "Your mama raised you right. Don't you forget that." Mrs. Chen comes next, showing Kennedy her phone. "I posted the video. It already has 200 shares. Everyone can see what really happened." Kennedy stares at the screen. Sees herself standing in the puddle. Sees Richard throwing the cup. Sees Tom walking out of the kitchen and then the bow. Seeing it from Mrs. Chen's angle makes it even more powerful. Tom's deliberate approach. The way he stops in front of Kennedy. The slow, deep bow that holds for 3 full seconds. The absolute respect in the gesture. "Thank you," Kennedy whispers. "For recording. For being a witness. That's what neighbors do. Mrs. Chen squeezes her hand. Now go talk to Tom. He's waiting. Kennedy walks to the kitchen on unsteady legs. Tom is at the grill, but his movements are distracted. He's burning bacon, which he never does. Mr. Miller? He looks up. Office. Now. It's not harsh. Just direct. Kennedy follows him to the small office at the back, barely bigger than a closet, filled with invoices and old menus and the smell of coffee that's permeated everything. Tom closes the door. Gestures to the only other chair. Sit. Kennedy sits. Her hands twist in her lap. Is she in trouble? Did she handle the situation wrong? Should she have just cleaned up the coffee and moved on? Tom pulls a folder from his desk drawer. Sets it in front of her. Her name is written on the tab in his cramped handwriting. I've been meaning to have this conversation for weeks, he says gruffly. Kept putting it off because I'm not good with words. But after what just happened, you need to know. Kennedy's heart pounds. Know what? Tom opens the folder. Inside are legal documents. Her name appears on every page. 8 months ago, you walked in here desperate. Barely holding it together. Asked for a job to help your mama with medical bills. Kennedy nods, throat tight. I hired you because I saw something. Work ethic. Integrity. Heart. Tom taps the documents. But also because I'm 62 years old with no kids. No family. This diner is all I got. And I've been wondering what happens to it when I'm gone. Mr. Miller. Let me finish. He clears his throat. Every month for the past 8 months, I've been transferring ownership shares to you. 2% per month. Legal and notarized. You now own 16% of Miller's Diner. The words don't make sense. Kennedy stares at the documents, seeing her name next to percentages and dates and legal language she doesn't understand. I don't. Why would you? Because you earned it. Tom's voice is rough with emotion he's trying to hide. Every early morning. Every double shift. Every time you came in exhausted but gave perfect service anyway. You've been a partner in everything but name. Now you're a partner in fact. Kennedy's vision blurs. My mother, the bills. I know. Tom pulls out another document. A bank statement. I've also been setting aside a portion of profits. Into an account in your name. There's $47,000 in there. The number doesn't compute. Can't compute. Kennedy's entire existence has been shaped by not having money. By choosing between rent and medicine. By walking 40 minutes to save bus fare. $47,000. Her mother's treatment. Fully funded. 4 months. I can't accept. It's already yours. Has been for months. I just hadn't told you yet. Tom's jaw works. Was going to wait until you graduated. But after today, after that piece of garbage threw coffee at you. He trails off. Starts again. You don't deserve to be treated like that. Don't deserve to feel like you have to accept abuse to keep a job. Because you're not just an employee, Kennedy. You're family. And family doesn't let family get disrespected in their own establishment. The tears come hard now. Kennedy tries to hold them back, but 8 months of exhaustion and fear and desperate hope come pouring out. Tom awkwardly pats her shoulder. It's okay, kid. Let it out. Why? Kennedy manages between sobs. Why would you do this for me? Because you remind me why I started this place. To give people good food, fair prices, and respect. You do that every day. With every customer. Even the terrible ones. Tom's voice hardens. But I won't have you abused. Not anymore. Those papers are yours. We'll get them filed proper. Make it all official. Kennedy looks at the documents through tears. Sees her name. Sees the percentages. Sees proof that someone saw her value even when she couldn't see it herself. I'm accelerating the transfer, Tom continues. 25% effective today. You'll own a quarter of this diner by end of business. And when you graduate, if you want to stay, we'll talk about more. I dropped out, Kennedy whispers. 3 months ago. When Mama got worse. Tom's expression softens. Then we'll talk about GED programs. College funds. Whatever you need. Because you're brilliant, Kennedy. And you deserve a future that isn't just survival. A knock at the door interrupts them. One of the other waitresses pokes her head in. Tom? Kennedy? You need to see this. Mrs. Chen's video is everywhere. And people are finding out who that customer is. Tom and Kennedy exchange glances. He helps her stand, steadies her when her legs wobble. They emerge from the office to find the entire staff crowded around the phone. The video has gone viral, 50,000 views already, climbing by the second. And the comments are identifying Richard Hartwell. His company. His position. His pattern of abusive behavior at restaurants across the state. This is just the beginning, Tom mutters. That man has no idea what's coming for him. Kennedy watches the video play again. Sees the bow. Sees respect given freely, without expectation of return. Sees proof that dignity matters more than money. She's co-owner of Miller's Diner now. Has $47,000 for her mother's treatment. Has a future that extends beyond tomorrow's shift. And somewhere across town, Richard Hartwell's phone is starting to ring. His boss is starting to ask questions. His world is starting to collapse. Because that's what happens when you throw coffee at the wrong teenage waitress. You discover that some owners bow to their staff. And some bows change everything. By noon, Mrs. Chen's video has 500,000 views. By 2 p.m., it's past 2 million. By the time Kennedy's shift ends at 3 p.m., the video has been shared across every major platform, featured on local news, and picked up by national outlets. The title that keeps appearing, Diner Owner Bows to Teen Waitress After Customer Throws Coffee at Her. Kennedy sits in Tom's office, watching her phone blow up with notifications. Friend requests from strangers. Messages from people sharing their own service industry horror stories. Offers from reporters wanting interviews. You don't have to talk to any of them, Tom says, standing in the doorway. Your life is your own. But Kennedy is reading the comments. Thousands of them. Most supportive, defending her, praising Tom's response. But some are exactly what she expected. She probably deserved it. Always playing the victim. That bow was performative BS. Kennedy's hands tighten around her phone. Tom sees her expression and sighs. Don't read those, he says. People who've never worked a day in service don't understand. They're saying I staged it. That we did it for attention. Let them say it. The truth is on video. Tom sits heavily in his chair. Kennedy, there's something else you need to know. She looks up from her phone. What? People are identifying Richard Hartwell. His company is getting calls. Lots of them. Tom shows her his own phone. Articles are already appearing. Morrison Investment Group released a statement. He's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Kennedy's eyes widen. They fired him? Not yet. But they're looking into it. Apparently, this isn't the first complaint they've received about his behavior. The office phone rings. Tom answers, listens, his expression darkening. Yes, she's here. No, she's not taking interviews right now. Thank you. He hangs up. Local news. They want to do a story. About the bow? About you. The hard-working teenager supporting her dying mother. The customer who assaulted you. Me kicking him out. The whole thing. Tom leans back. This is bigger than we thought, Kennedy. This is becoming a story about dignity. About how we treat service workers. About standing up to bullies. Kennedy's mind spins. This morning, she was invisible. Just another teenage waitress nobody noticed. Now, strangers across the country know her name, her face, her story. I need to call my mother, she says suddenly. She doesn't know about any of this. Tom nods. Use the office. Take your time. Kennedy dials with shaking hands. Her mother answers on the second ring, voice weak but alert. Baby? You okay? Your shift doesn't end until... Mama, I'm fine. I'm better than fine. But something happened, and I need to tell you before you see it online. She explains everything. The coffee. The humiliation. Tom's bow. The viral video. The ownership papers. The $47,000. Silence on the other end. Then sobbing. Mama? Are you? That man bowed to you, Angela whispers. Someone saw your worth and bowed to you. He gave me part of the diner, Mama. And money. For your treatment. For everything. More sobbing. I'm so proud of you, baby. So proud. I didn't do anything. You survived. You kept going when most people would have given up. You worked yourself to exhaustion for me. That's everything, Kennedy. That's worth more than any bow. They talk for 20 minutes. Kennedy explaining the legal documents, the bank account, the plan for her mother to start the expensive treatment they couldn't afford yesterday. When she hangs up, Tom is waiting with a manila envelope. Birth certificate. Social Security card. Everything you need to open your own bank account if you don't have one. He sets it on the desk. The money is yours. No strings. Use it however you need. Kennedy stares at the envelope. Why are you doing this? I told you. You earned it. But the bow. Tom, you didn't have to bow to me. His face softens. Yeah, I did. Because you've been bowing to customers for 8 months. Figuratively. Taking abuse with a smile. Swallowing your dignity because you needed the job. Someone needed to show you that it goes both ways. That respect isn't just something you give. It's something you deserve to receive. Kennedy's throat tightens. I've never had anyone stand up for me like that. Then people have failed you. Because you're worth standing up for. Tom stands. Come on. There's a line around the block. Word got out about what happened. Everyone wants to support us. Kennedy follows him to the dining area. Through the windows, she can see dozens of people waiting to get in. The diner is packed beyond capacity, every booth filled, people standing. When she emerges from the kitchen, the entire diner erupts in applause. Mr. Patterson stands. That's our girl. That's Kennedy. Mrs. Chin is crying again, holding up her phone to capture the moment. Other customers, strangers who drove from neighboring towns, are leaving enormous tips. $50. $100. One man leaves $200 with a note, from a former dishwasher who knows what it's like. You matter. Kennedy can barely see through her tears. Tom's hand on her shoulder steadies her. Speech, someone calls out. She doesn't have to, Tom starts, but Kennedy shakes her head. I want to. She takes a breath. I don't know what to say except thank you. For witnessing. For caring. For showing me that kindness exists even when cruelty tries to break you. Her voice strengthens. What happened today happens every day to service workers everywhere. We get treated like we're invisible. Like we don't matter. Like our dignity is negotiable. She looks at Tom. But Mr. Miller showed me it's not. He showed me that respect is a right, not a privilege. The applause is deafening. People are standing now, cheering, some crying. Tom leans close. You're a natural leader, kid. Don't forget that. Kennedy's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. This is Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you and Mr. Miller for tonight's broadcast. Interested? She shows Tom. He shrugs. Your call. You're co-owner now. You get a say. Kennedy thinks about all the other teenagers working terrible jobs, enduring abuse, believing they have to accept mistreatment to survive. Thinks about her younger self, trying to be invisible just to be safe. She types back, yes. We'll do it. But only if you tell the whole story. Including the part about how Mr. Miller has been making me co-owner for months. The reporter responds immediately, deal. 6 p.m. at the diner? 6 p.m., Kennedy confirms. Tom reads over her shoulder and grins. You're already thinking like a business owner. Using media strategically. I learned from the best. Kennedy looks around the packed diner. Should we get back to work? Yeah. These people didn't come for a show. They came for breakfast. Tom ties his apron. And we've got customers to serve. Partners? He holds out his hand. Kennedy shakes it firmly. Partners. For the first time in 8 months, Kennedy James walks onto the floor of Miller's diner not as a desperate teenager trying to survive, but as a co-owner with dignity, worth, and a future. And across town, Richard Hartwell watches the video for the 100th time, finally understanding that throwing coffee at the wrong waitress was the worst decision of his life. The Channel 7 News crew arrives at exactly 6 p.m. Kennedy has changed into a clean uniform, washed her face, tried to prepare for being on television. But nothing really prepares you for bright lights and cameras and questions about the worst moment of your day being replayed for thousands of viewers. The reporter is a woman in her 40s named Lisa Chen, no relation to Mrs. Chen, though they joke about it. She's kind, professional, and clearly moved by the story. Kennedy, can you walk me through what happened this morning? Kennedy sits in booth 7, the same booth where Richard Hartwell sat, where everything changed. The irony isn't lost on anyone. A customer came in around 6:15 a.m., Kennedy begins. He was rude from the start, but I'm used to difficult customers. I brought him coffee. He said it was cold even though it wasn't. I brought him breakfast. He complained about that too. Did he use any specific language? Kennedy hesitates. Lisa notices. It's okay. You can tell the truth. He said he wanted a real waitress. Said I was incompetent. implied I was an affirmative action hire. Kennedy's voice stays steady. Then he threw the coffee cup at my feet. The camera zooms in on the stains still visible on the checkered floor despite scrubbing. What went through your mind in that moment? I thought I was going to lose my job. That I'd have to apologize to him. That I'd have to accept it because my mother needs medicine and I can't afford to be fired. Kennedy looks directly at the camera. That's what most service workers think. That we have to accept abuse because we're replaceable. But Tom Miller didn't see it that way. No. He saw me. As a person. With dignity. Worth protecting. Kennedy's voice cracks. He bowed to me. In front of everyone. I've never had anyone show me that kind of respect. Tom's interview is next. He's uncomfortable on camera, gruff and awkward, but his words carry weight. Kennedy is the best employee I've ever had. She shows up early, works hard, treats customers with kindness even when they don't deserve it. When that man threw coffee at her, he wasn't just disrespecting her. He was disrespecting everything this diner stands for. The bow was a powerful gesture. What made you decide to do that? Tom shifts. She's been bowing to customers for 8 months. Metaphorically speaking. Putting their comfort above her own dignity. Someone needed to show her it goes both ways. That she deserves respect, not just gives it. Lisa leans forward. We've learned there's more to this story. About Kennedy's ownership in the diner? Tom nods. For 8 months, I've been transferring ownership shares to Kennedy. She now owns 25% of Miller's Diner. She's not just an employee. She's my partner. The camera catches Kennedy's reaction, surprised that Tom is revealing this so publicly, followed by pride. Why keep it secret? Wasn't keeping it secret. Just waiting for the right time to tell her. Tom looks at Kennedy. Guess that customer forced my hand. But she deserved to know. Deserved to understand her worth. The interview airs at 10 p.m. By 10:15, it's been uploaded to YouTube. By 10:30, it's trending on Twitter. By midnight, the video has 5 million views across all platforms. The comments overwhelm Kennedy's phone. This made me cry. Every service worker needs a boss like Tom. I was a waitress for 10 years. The abuse is real. Thank you for standing up. That bow restored my faith in humanity. But also, probably staged for publicity. She's milking this for sympathy. That customer was right. Service today is terrible. Kennedy tries not to read the negative comments, but they burrow into her brain anyway. Tom finds her in the office at 11 p.m., still scrolling. Stop reading that garbage. I can't help it. Yes, you can. Close the app. Put down the phone. Those people don't know you. Their opinions don't matter. Tom sits beside her. What matters is you showed up this morning. You did your job with excellence. And when someone tried to break you, you survived with dignity. That's the story. Kennedy sets down her phone. People are calling Morrison Investment Group, demanding they fire Richard Hartwell. Good. He has a family. A life. What if? What if nothing? He made his choice when he threw that coffee. He made his choice every time he abused a service worker and thought his money made it okay. Tom's voice is firm. You're not responsible for his consequences. He is. The next morning, Morrison Investment Group releases a statement. After investigating multiple complaints regarding Richard Hartwell's conduct, we have decided to terminate his employment effective immediately. His behavior does not reflect our company values. The internet erupts. Justice served. Karma delivered. The bully gets his comeuppance. But Kennedy feels strange about it. Vindicated but also sad. Because she knows that Richard Hartwell is someone's father, someone's husband. His children will suffer for his actions. That's empathy, Tom says when she expresses this. That's what separates you from him. You can recognize his humanity even after he denied yours. The phone rings constantly. More news outlets. A podcast wanting to interview her. A publishing company asking if she'd consider writing a book about service work and dignity. This is overwhelming, Kennedy admits. Yeah. Fame usually is. Tom pours them both coffee. But here's what you need to remember, you didn't ask for this. You just wanted to do your job and help your mama. Everything else, the viral video, the interviews, the attention, that's people responding to something they needed to see. What's that? That kindness still exists. That bosses can protect employees instead of exploiting them. That a 17-year-old black girl matters enough to bow to. Tom meets her eyes. You're a symbol now, Kennedy. Whether you wanted to be or not. People are going to project onto you. Put pressure on you. Expect things from you. How do I handle that? By being exactly who you've always been. Hardworking. Honest. Kind. And by not letting anyone, media, strangers, anyone, tell you who you're supposed to be. Kennedy nods. Takes a breath. My mother starts treatment tomorrow. The good treatment. Because of the money you gave me. Good. That's what matters. Not the views or the comments or the news coverage. Your mama getting healthy. That's the real story here. But the story is already bigger than Kennedy's mother, bigger than one diner, bigger than a single viral video. Across the country, service workers are sharing their own experiences. Restaurants are implementing new policies about customer behavior. The conversation is changing. And in a suburb of Riverside, Tennessee, Richard Hartwell sits in his empty house, fired from his job, served with divorce papers, watching his life collapse because he thought throwing coffee at a teenager would have no consequences. He was wrong. Kennedy James mattered. Tom Miller made sure of it. And the world watched, learned, and started demanding better. Richard Hartwell's fall happens fast. The video goes viral on Monday. He's fired on Tuesday. By Wednesday, his wife has moved out, taking their 2 children. By Thursday, his country club membership is revoked and 3 of his oldest friends won't return his calls. Kennedy watches it happen through news reports and social media. She tries not to feel satisfaction, but it's there anyway, a quiet vindication that someone who treated her as less than human is facing real consequences. But then other stories emerge. Other service workers coming forward. A waitress in Nashville posts a photo of a 1-cent tip Richard left with a note, maybe lose some weight and you'll earn more. The post has 800,000 likes. A hotel housekeeper shares that Richard complained about her foreign accent and demanded she be fired. The hotel kept her and banned him. A barista posts a recording of Richard screaming at her for putting too much foam on his latte. You're too stupid for this job, he yells on the recording. 2 million views. The pattern is undeniable. Years of abuse. Dozens of victims. All service workers. All people Richard deemed beneath him. He was always like this, his ex-wife tells a reporter. I left because I couldn't watch him treat people like garbage anymore. This video just gave me the courage to finally do it. Kennedy reads that interview sitting in the diner during a rare slow moment. Tom notices her expression. You okay? I keep thinking about his kids. They didn't do anything wrong, but their lives are destroyed too. That's on their father, not you. Tom refills her coffee. You can have compassion for them while still holding him accountable. I just don't want to become the person who ruined someone's life. You didn't ruin it. He did. 20 years ago when he decided he was better than other people. You just happened to be the waitress who got it on video. Tom sits across from her. Kennedy, you gave other victims courage to speak up. That's not destruction. That's justice. The diner has been mobbed since the video went viral. People driving from other states just to eat at the diner where the bow happened. They take photos of Booth 7. Leave massive tips. Tell Kennedy she's an inspiration. The money helps. Kennedy's mother starts her treatment, the expensive, experimental kind that insurance doesn't cover. The kind that might actually work. Between Tom's $47,000 and the GoFundMe Mrs. Chen started that raised another $187,000, Angela James has a fighting chance. She's responding well, the oncologist tells Kennedy during a phone consultation. The tumor is shrinking. It's early, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Kennedy cries in the diner bathroom for 10 minutes. Happy tears this time. Hope tears. When she emerges, Tom is waiting with an envelope. What's this? More mail. You're getting a lot of it now. Inside are letters from teenagers across the country. Service workers sharing their stories, thanking Kennedy for speaking up, telling her she gave them courage to demand respect. One letter makes Kennedy's hands shake. Dear Kennedy, I'm 16 and work at a fast food restaurant in Ohio. Last week, a customer threw a milkshake at me because I forgot his extra ketchup. I stood there covered in ice cream while my manager made me apologize to him. I was going to quit. Thought I couldn't take it anymore. Then I saw your video. Saw Mr. Miller bow to you. Saw you stand there with dignity while the world watched. I reported my manager. Showed corporate the security footage. He was fired. They apologized to me. Gave me a raise. None of that would have happened without your example. Thank you for showing me I matter. Sarah M. Kennedy shows Tom the letter. He reads it and nods slowly. That's why the attention matters. Not for you. For them. The media requests keep coming. Ellen wants her on the show. Good Morning America. The Today Show. A TED Talk organizer. A documentary filmmaker. Kennedy agrees to some, declines others. She does a podcast about service work and dignity that gets 500,000 downloads. She speaks at a restaurant industry conference about treating employees as humans. But she still works shifts at Miller's Diner. Still shows up at 5 a.m. Still serves coffee with a smile. Why do you keep working the floor? A reporter asks during one interview. You're co-owner now. You could just manage. Because I never want to forget what it feels like, Kennedy says. The moment you stop understanding your employees' struggles is the moment you become the problem. Tom overhears and grins. She's already a better boss than I ever was. 3 weeks after the incident, Kennedy receives an unexpected visitor. A lawyer representing Richard Hartwell. My client would like to apologize. In person. He's hoping you'll. No, Kennedy says immediately. He's been through extensive therapy. He understands now what he. I said no. Kennedy's voice is firm. I don't need his apology. I don't want his redemption story. He can work on himself without using me to feel better about his choices. The lawyer leaves. Tom witnesses the exchange and squeezes Kennedy's shoulder. Proud of you, kid. You don't owe him forgiveness. Do you think I'm being too harsh? I think you're protecting yourself. That's smart, not harsh. But that night, Kennedy lies awake thinking about Richard Hartwell. About his children who lost their father to his own cruelty. About his ex-wife who endured years before finding courage to leave. About all the people he hurt before someone finally held him accountable. She doesn't forgive him. But she understands that broken people break others. And maybe he'll do the work to heal himself. Not for her. For himself. A week later, Kennedy learns that Richard is working at a mall food court. Minimum wage. No power. No privilege. Just serving customers the way he once demanded to be served. Think he's learned anything? Tom asks when they hear. I hope so. For his kid's sake. Kennedy wipes down the counter. But it's not my job to fix him. My job is to build something better here. Speaking of which, Tom pulls out paperwork. I want to open a second location. Worker owned from day one. Employees earn equity. What do you think? Kennedy reads through the proposal. A revolutionary model. Fair wages. Profit sharing. Respect built into the foundation. I think it's brilliant. When do we start? Tom smiles. Soon as you're ready, partner. The bell above the door chimes. A young woman enters, nervous, clutching a resume. She's maybe 19, wearing clothes that have been washed too many times, carrying the weight of someone who needs this job desperately. Kennedy recognizes that look. She wore it 8 months ago. Hi, Kennedy says warmly. Welcome to Miller's Diner. Are you here to apply? The girl nods. I know you're probably not hiring, but I really need a job. My mom is sick and... We're hiring, Kennedy interrupts gently. And we take care of our people here. Come sit down. Let's talk. As the girl follows Kennedy to a booth, Tom watches from the kitchen with pride. His legacy is secure. Not in bricks and mortar. In the lessons he taught a desperate teenager about dignity, respect, and the power of one person choosing kindness over cruelty. The world is watching now. Millions of eyes on a small diner in Tennessee. And Kennedy James is showing them all how it's supposed to be done. 3 months after the video goes viral, Kennedy's mother walks into Miller's Diner under her own power for the first time in 6 months. The experimental treatment is working. Her tumor has shrunk by 60%. The doctors use words like remarkable and unprecedented response. The entire diner erupts in applause when Angela enters. Mr. Patterson stands, tears streaming down his weathered face. Mrs. Chen rushes over for a hug. Tom emerges from the kitchen, apron still on, and offers Angela the best booth in the house. The guest of honor, he says gruffly, emotion thick in his voice. Angela sits, looking around at the community that saved her daughter and, by extension, saved her. I don't know how to thank you all. You already did, Kennedy says, sliding into the booth beside her mother. By surviving. By fighting. By being here. They order breakfast together, Angela's first real meal out in months. Kennedy watches her mother eat scrambled eggs and laugh at Tom's terrible jokes and look alive in a way she hasn't in years. This is what it was all for, Kennedy realizes aloud. What, baby? The early mornings. The double shifts. The standing on my feet until they bled. All of it. For this moment. Seeing you healthy. Angela takes her daughter's hand. You saved my life, Kennedy. Mr. Miller saved my life. I just showed up. You did more than show up. You survived with grace. With dignity. You taught me what strength looks like. Angela's eyes shine. And now look at you. Co-owner of a diner. On national television. Changing how people think about service work. I am so proud. The conversation is interrupted by a commotion at the door. A young man enters carrying flowers and wearing an expression of nervous determination. I'm looking for Kennedy James. Kennedy stands, wary. She's had some strange encounters since going viral. I'm Kennedy. I'm Marcus Rivera. I work at the Morrison Investment Group. Worked, I should say. I quit yesterday. He offers the flowers. I came to apologize on behalf of my former company. Richard Hartwell's behavior was enabled by a culture that valued profits over people. We should have stopped him years ago. Kennedy accepts the flowers cautiously. You didn't know me. You're not responsible for his actions. Maybe not. But I was part of a system that protected him. That looked the other way when support staff complained. Marcus's voice is passionate. Your video opened my eyes. I realized I was complicit. So I quit. I'm starting a nonprofit focused on service worker rights. Making sure people like you have legal protection and resources. Kennedy's eyes widen. Wow. That's incredible. You inspired it. You and Mr. Miller showed me what integrity looks like. Marcus glances at Tom, who's listening from the kitchen pass-through. Would you consider being on our advisory board? Both of you? Tom and Kennedy exchange glances. We'll think about it, Tom says. But we appreciate what you're doing. After Marcus leaves, Tom comes to sit with Kennedy and Angela. This is what I was talking about, he says. Your story is changing things. Not just here. Everywhere. He's right. In the 3 months since the bow, Miller's Diner has become a model for other establishments. They've implemented new policies. The Dignity Charter. Customers who abuse staff will be banned immediately. No exceptions for high spenders or regular staff have authority to refuse service to anyone being disrespectful. All employees own equity in the business. Profit sharing based on tenure and performance. Mental health days provided without questions. Other restaurants are adopting similar policies. The Kennedy Standard people are calling it on social media. Treat your workers with respect or lose your business. 15 states have passed legislation enhancing protections for service workers. Kennedy's law in Tennessee makes it a misdemeanor to assault a service worker, throwing things, spitting, physical contact, all punishable by fines and potential jail time. Kennedy receives a call from the governor's office. They want her to speak at the signing ceremony. I can't, she tells Tom. I have a shift. Kennedy, this is the governor. I know. But I made a commitment to work Tuesday lunch rush. We're short-staffed. I'm not abandoning my team for a photo op. Tom stares at her. Then laughs. You really are going to be a better boss than me. The governor's office reschedules around Kennedy's availability. She speaks at the signing ceremony in her diner uniform, having driven straight from her shift. This law is named after me, she tells the cameras. But it's for every service worker who's been spit on, screamed at, assaulted, and told to smile through it. We're human beings. We deserve dignity. And now, finally, we have legal protection. The video of her speech goes viral too. Less than the original bow video, but still millions of views. Comments pouring from service workers around the world. Back at the diner, Kennedy finds an envelope with no return address. Inside is a check for $50,000 and a note. From anonymous donors who were once service workers too. We remember what it's like to be treated as less than human. Thank you for fighting back with grace. Pay it forward. Kennedy shows Tom. This is too much. I can't. You can. And you will. Tom taps the check. I've been thinking. We should start a fund. Help service workers in crisis. Medical bills. Emergency housing. Legal fees for those fighting abuse. What do you think? Kennedy's eyes light up. The Dignity Fund. Perfect name. Tom grins. You're the director. I'll handle the boring legal stuff. Within a week, the Dignity Fund is established. Kennedy uses the anonymous $50,000 as seed money. They set up an application process for service workers in need. Within a month, they've helped 23 people. Paid medical bills. Covered rent during emergencies. Provided legal representation for workers fighting unjust terminations. Each recipient gets a letter from Kennedy. You matter. Your dignity is not negotiable. This fund exists because people see your worth. Use it without shame. Pay it forward when you can. And never forget that you deserve respect. The fund grows. Other donors contribute. Restaurant chains make corporate donations to avoid looking bad. Within 6 months, the Dignity Fund has $2.3 million and has helped over 200 workers. Kennedy's mother is declared cancer-free 4 months after her first treatment. The oncologist calls it a miracle. Kennedy calls it science and love, and a diner owner who saw her worth before she saw it herself. On the 6-month anniversary of the bow, Tom calls a staff meeting. I have an announcement, he says, looking at Kennedy. I'm retiring. Effective in 3 months. Kennedy will take over as primary owner. Gasps around the room. Kennedy's mouth drops open. You're what? I'm 63. Tired. Ready to do some fishing. Tom smiles. But more importantly, you're ready. You've been running this place for months anyway. Making it better. Making it matter. It should be yours. Tom, I can't afford to buy you out. I'm not selling. I'm gifting. The remaining shares transfer to you on my retirement. 75%. You'll own Miller's Diner outright. Kennedy can't speak. Can't breathe. Tom built this place 40 years ago. And he's giving it to a teenage girl who walked in desperate 8 months ago. Why? She finally manages. Because you'll protect it. Protect the values. Treat people right. That's worth more than money. Tom's voice cracks. You're the daughter I never had, Kennedy. This is your legacy now. The staff applauds. Kennedy cries. And somewhere across town, Richard Hartwell sees the news and finally understands what he lost when he threw that cup of coffee. He lost nothing, actually. Because he never had anything worth keeping. But Kennedy James? She gained everything. And she's just getting started. 8 months after the bow, Kennedy James stands in front of a room full of restaurant owners at the National Hospitality Conference in Atlanta. She's 18 now, graduated from her GED program with honors, accepted to the University of Tennessee with a full scholarship in business management. But she deferred enrollment. The diner needs her. The movement needs her. And she's not done building yet. Show of hands, she says to the audience of 200. How many of you have had employees quit because of customer abuse? Nearly every hand goes up. How many of you told those employees that the customer is always right? Uncomfortable shifting. Most hands stay up. I was that employee, Kennedy continues. I stood in a puddle of coffee that a customer threw at my feet. I was 17, working to pay for my mother's cancer treatment, and I thought I had to accept abuse to keep my job. She clicks to the next slide. The video. The bow. The image that changed everything. Tom Miller showed me I was wrong. He showed me that customers are not always right. That profit is not more important than people. That protecting your staff is good business. The presentation continues. Statistics about employee retention when workers feel respected. Data showing that restaurants with dignity policies have higher customer satisfaction and better reviews. Case studies of establishments that implemented the Kennedy Standard and saw profits increase. Treating workers well isn't just morally right, Kennedy concludes. It's economically smart. People want to support businesses that value human dignity. They'll pay more, wait longer, and become loyal customers when they know you treat your staff with respect. The applause is thunderous. Afterward, 12 restaurant owners asked Kennedy to consult on implementing dignity policies at their establishments. I can't, she tells them. I run a diner in Tennessee. But I can connect you with the Dignity Fund. We're developing training programs and consulting services. The fund has grown beyond Kennedy's wildest imagination. Now with a full-time staff of 5, including Marcus Rivera as executive director, they've helped over 400 workers and consulted with 50 restaurants nationwide. But Kennedy still works the floor at Miller's Diner 3 days a week. Still pours coffee at 5 a.m. Still knows every regular by name. Why do you keep doing this? A journalist asks during an interview. You could be running the Dignity Fund full-time. Or going to college. Or doing media full-time. Why work diner shifts? Because the moment I stop being a waitress is the moment I forget what we're fighting for, Kennedy says simply. I need to feel the exhaustion. The stress. The occasional rude customer. It keeps me honest. She hires 2 new workers that month. Both teenagers in desperate situations. Both terrified they won't be good enough. You'll be fine, Kennedy tells each of them. And if customers are rude, you tell me immediately. We protect each other here. One is James, 17, supporting his disabled father. The other is Maria, 16, escaping an abusive home. Kennedy sees herself in both of them. She starts a mentorship program. Teaches them about finances. About self-worth. About the difference between service and servitude. Gives them the same path Tom gave her, earning equity through dedication. In 2 years, you'll own shares of this diner, she tells them. Not because I'm generous. Because you'll earn it. Just like I did. Her mother Angela now works part-time at the diner, managing community outreach. Cancer-free for 6 months, she's regained her strength and her purpose. Together, they've launched programs. Free meals for families struggling with medical bills, job training for unemployed youth, GED prep classes held in the diner after hours, a scholarship fund for service workers pursuing education. Miller's Diner has become more than a restaurant. It's a community hub. A safe space. A model for what business can be when profit isn't the only goal. The second location opens in Nashville. Worker-owned from day one, following the model Kennedy and Tom perfected. Employees earn shares through tenure and performance. Management positions are filled internally. Dignity policies are built into the foundation. It's profitable within 3 months. A third location is planned for Memphis. You're building an empire, Tom says, watching Kennedy review expansion plans. He's semi-retired now, fishing 3 days a week, consulting too. I'm building what you started, Kennedy corrects. A place where people matter more than profits. Profits are good though. Tom points to the financial reports. All 3 locations in the black. Expansion fully funded. The fund has $4 million now. You've proven that treating people well makes money. Kennedy smiles. Maybe that's the real revolution. Not asking businesses to sacrifice profits for ethics. Showing them ethics are profitable. She gets an unexpected call one afternoon. A familiar voice. Hesitant. Ashamed. Kennedy? This is Richard Hartwell. Her hand tightens around the phone. How did you get this number? I wanted to apologize. Properly. I've been in therapy. Working on myself. I understand now what I don't need your apology. Kennedy's voice is firm but not cruel. I hope you're getting help. I hope you're changing. But I'm not part of your redemption story. I know. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve what I did. Kennedy takes a breath. No, I didn't. And neither did the dozens of other workers you abused over the years. If you're really sorry, make amends with them. Donate to the Dignity Fund. Use your experience to teach others. But don't call me again. She hangs up. Her hands shake. Tom appears with coffee. You okay? Yeah. He wanted forgiveness. Did you give it? No. And I don't feel bad about that. Kennedy sips the coffee. Maybe someday. But not today. Good. Forgiveness is yours to give or withhold. On your timeline. Not his. That evening, Kennedy receives a letter from a waitress in California. Dear Kennedy. Last week, a customer snapped his fingers at me and called me girl. I used to let that slide. But I thought about your video. About Mr. Miller bowing to you. About dignity being non-negotiable. I looked that customer in the eye and said, my name is Jennifer. It's on my name tag. Please use it. He complained to my manager. My manager backed me up. Told him to apologize or leave. He left. I know that's small compared to what you went through. But it felt huge to me. Like I finally mattered. Thank you for showing me I do. Jennifer. Kennedy pins the letter to the bulletin board in her office, next to dozens of others like it. Each one a reminder that the bow wasn't just for her. It was for everyone who'd ever been made to feel small. She looks around her office, in her diner, in the empire she's building one dignity policy at a time. Tom was right. This is her legacy now. And she's going to make damn sure it counts. 1 year after the bow, Kennedy James wakes at 4:30 a.m. to her alarm. Some things never change. She still works the early shift twice a week, still makes the walk to Miller's diner in pre-dawn darkness, still believes that the moment she stops being a waitress is the moment she loses touch with why this all matters. But some things have changed. She walks past the line of people waiting for the diner to open. It's been like this for months, tourists and supporters wanting to eat where the bow happened. She unlocks the door with keys that belong to her now, walks into a space she owns, starts coffee in a diner that carries her vision forward. Tom arrives at 5:30, later than he used to. Semi-retirement suits him. His face has lost some of its permanent gruffness. He smiles more. laughs easier. "Morning, boss," he says to Kennedy. She still hasn't gotten used to that. "I'm not the boss. We're partners. You own 75%. You're the boss." He ties his apron. And a damn good one. The morning regulars arrive. Mr. Patterson, now 89, same booth every day. Mrs. Chen, who's become Kennedy's unofficial grandmother, bringing homemade dumplings and wisdom in equal measure. The faces that watched a 17-year-old girl stand in a coffee puddle and emerge as a business owner. "How's your mama?" Mr. Patterson asks, the same question he's asked for a year. "1 year cancer-free yesterday," Kennedy says, voice bright with joy. "Full remission." The diner applauds. It's become tradition, celebrating Angela's milestones like they're victories for the whole community. Because in a way, they are. Angela arrives at 8 a.m. to manage the day's community programs. She's 50 pounds heavier than a year ago, her hair has grown back, and she moves like someone who's remembered what living feels like. "Morning, baby girl." She kisses Kennedy's forehead. "Ready for the big day?" Today is the grand opening of the 4th Miller's Diner location. In Atlanta. The biggest one yet. Fully worker-owned, with Kennedy as majority shareholder but every employee earning equity from day one. The model has proven profitable. All 4 locations thriving. The Dignity Fund has expanded to $6.8 million, helping 600-plus workers. 15 states have passed versions of Kennedy's Law. The movement has grown beyond anything Kennedy imagined that morning she stood and spilled coffee. "I'm nervous," Kennedy admits to her mother. "Good. Means you care." Angela squeezes her hand. "Your father would be so proud. I wish he could see this." Kennedy's father died when she was 3. She barely remembers him. But her mother talks about him often, a good man who worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat, who died of a heart attack at 42 because he couldn't afford health care. "This is for him too," Kennedy says. "For everyone who worked themselves to death because the system values profit over people." At noon, Kennedy and Tom drive to Atlanta for the opening ceremony. The new location is beautiful, modern but warm, with the same red booths and checkered floors that define Miller's Diner, plus a wall dedicated to the original video and the movement it sparked. Media crews wait outside. This is news. The teenager who went viral for being abused is now a restaurant owner at 18, building an empire on dignity and respect. Kennedy does interviews with the ease of someone who's done this 100 times now. Yes, the model is profitable. Yes, other restaurants can replicate it. Yes, she still works as a waitress. No, she hasn't forgiven Richard Hartwell. "Do you ever think about him?" a reporter asks. "Sometimes. I hope he's changed. For his kids' sake. But I don't need his redemption to validate my worth. I already know what I'm worth." The crowd for the ribbon cutting is huge. Community members, service workers, journalists, and one surprise guest, the governor of Georgia, who's flown in to declare it Dignity in Service Day. But the speech Kennedy gives isn't about policy or profit. It's personal. "A year ago, a man threw coffee at my feet because he thought I was less than human. He saw a black teenage girl in a diner uniform and decided I didn't deserve respect." Kennedy's voice carries across the crowd. Tom Miller saw something different. He saw a human being worthy of dignity. And he bowed. She points to Tom, standing off to the side, uncomfortable with attention as always. "That bow changed my life. But more importantly, it changed the conversation. It forced people to ask, how do we treat service workers? What do we owe each other as human beings? Is profit more important than people? Kennedy pauses. The answer is no. It never was. It never should be. In every diner we open, every worker we help through the Dignity Fund, every policy we change, it's all saying the same thing: people matter. Dignity is not negotiable. Respect is not optional. The applause is thunderous. The ribbon is cut. The fourth Miller's Diner opens for business. That evening, Kennedy returns to the original location for the dinner shift. She's exhausted but grounded. This is home. These checkered floors. These red booths. The booth where Richard Hartwell sat, where everything changed. A young woman comes in, nervous, clutching a resume. She looks like Kennedy did a year ago, desperate, terrified, trying to hold it together. I know you're probably not hiring, the girl starts. But I really need a job. My mom has MS in. We're always hiring good people, Kennedy interrupts gently. Sit down. Let's talk. The girl's name is Destiny. She's 17. Dropped out of high school to care for her mother. Works 2 jobs but can't make ends meet. The story is familiar because it's Kennedy's story. It's Angela's story. It's the story of millions of workers trapped in systems that exploit desperation. Here's how it works, Kennedy says. Fair wage. Full benefits. Equity program, you earn ownership through dedication. Mental health support. And a zero-tolerance policy for customer abuse. Anyone disrespects you, you tell me immediately. We protect our people. Destiny's eyes fill with tears. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. Someone did it for me when I needed it most. I'm paying it forward. Kennedy hands her an application. Fill this out. You start Monday if you want. I want to. I really want to. After Destiny leaves, Tom sits beside Kennedy at the counter. You're going to change that girl's life. I'm giving her a chance. Same as you gave me. It's more than that. You're showing her she matters. That's everything. Kennedy looks around the diner. Sees the wall where Mrs. Chen's video plays on a loop, the bow captured forever. Sees the customers eating, the staff working with dignity, the community that rallied around a teenage girl in a coffee puddle. Do you ever think about that day? She asks Tom. Every day. Regret anything? Not even a little bit. Tom sips his coffee. Best decision I ever made. Bowing to you. Giving you ownership. Building this with you. All of it. Kennedy's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. This is Richard Hartwell. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just wanted you to know I donated $25,000 to the Dignity Fund. Anonymous until now. I'm working at a community center, teaching anger management to people like me. Making amends where I can. You'll never hear from me again. But thank you. For showing me what I'd become. Kennedy shows Tom. He reads it and shrugs. What are you going to do? Nothing. He's on his own journey. I'm on mine. She deletes the text. Closes that chapter. Moves forward. Because that's what Kennedy James does. She survives. She builds. She pays forward. She changes systems one diner at a time, one worker at a time, one moment of dignity at a time. The coffee pot finishes brewing. Kennedy pours a cup for Tom, one for herself, one for the new hire who starts Monday. They stand together in the diner where everything changed, 3 generations of Miller's legacy, each one proof that kindness is stronger than cruelty. Outside, The sun sets over Riverside, Tennessee. Inside, a girl who was once humiliated now owns her future. And somewhere in the world, a service worker watches the bow video for the first time. Sees Tom Miller honor Kennedy James. Sees dignity triumph over abuse. Sees hope in a checkered floor diner. And they think, maybe I matter too. They do. They always did. Kennedy James is just making sure they know it. The coffee is hot. The diner is ready. And Kennedy James is exactly where she belongs, building an empire on the simple radical idea that every human being deserves respect. Tom Miller knew it when he bowed. Kennedy James proved it when she rose. And the world is better for both.